In today's video, I'm going to be making egusi soup with chicken. For those of you who are not aware, I live in Germany, and on my channel, I just try to show you what my life is like living overseas as a Nigerian, and as well as things that I'm up to. So it would be nice if you support me by subscribing to my channel. I mean, I'm sure most of us here already know how to cook egusi soup, so I'm not even going to go into the know-hows and stuff like that. But generally, I just wanted to talk about how living overseas is, especially when it comes to cooking. For my husband specifically, he doesn't see anything wrong. He thinks food here is the same as Nigeria, but for me, I'm of a different opinion. I think when I'm in Nigeria, I have access to fresh food and I have variety. Here we have Afro store, and you can literally buy anything that you want from the store. However, I find it very restrictive. Number one, when it comes to distance, I live in a solely residential area, so I have to drive 10 minutes to the Afro shop. And I'm sure everyone will be like, 10 minutes is really, really close, but I won't lie to you. I'd rather just stay in my house. And for several reasons, I just prefer the walls of my house. And secondly, I have to improvise. For example, for it to be in Nigeria, I wouldn't cook egusi soup with chicken. I would use meat, beef, or goat, which I do most of the time. But on this day, I knew the shops were going to be closed on Sunday, so I quickly ran outside to get chicken from the German shops, because in my residential area, you can walk 30 minutes to the shops, but you wouldn't find an Afro shop there. You'll find, because I live in their neighborhood, let's put it that way. So it's just their shops, and then you have just one or two, so they can get their groceries and things like that. And another thing is, I couldn't get spinach or ugu on this day. Okay, I couldn't get fresh one because I got, and then it was yellowish, but I had to use it because I didn't have any choice. Bottom line, these are the kind of things that I wouldn't experience in Nigeria. And then there are times you don't feel like eating. You probably want to eat garden eggs. You just want to eat, little things here and there. But I think this experience is peculiar to myself, because I heard that people who live in places such as the UK, they have the real Nigerian experience. They even roast corns on the street and things like that. So that's entirely different. And another thing is, for me now, I also get bored easily when it comes to eating. So I like variety. And there's one thing I noticed about Nigerians generally, that when it comes to, even though we all say we're Nigerians, because we have so many tribes, people are a bit restrictive. Like, I'll give an example. My husband, despite being in Nigeria, never tasted amala before he met me. So Nigerian foods can be very repetitive. It's the same thing over and over again. And for me, I really don't like stuff like that. And because in the course of having my education and things like that, I was exposed to living in the north. I have Igbo friends. I've been there for a wedding. So when it comes to food, I'm like that Nigerian person, and I know how to integrate. I love to try other people's meals. I love to, food for me, I could eat anything. But I discovered that for an average Nigerian, if they were born in Lagos, they know only the meals in Lagos. If they were born in the north, so for me, I kind of find our eating habits very restrictive and repetitive. So generally, you can imagine now someone like me now living overseas, where I just have to rely on maybe one or two shops. It's very challenging. So either ways, in this regard, I still prefer to be home, because I would rather want to explore and have variety and more things to eat. And then the flip side of it also is, in Nigeria, because I visited last June, I realized that if you really don't have money, you can't really, the lifestyle, like what I'm describing right now, is not something that you can experience, because your pocket determines what you're exposed to. So for here now, the things we buy here, you get African food more expensive, and then you get the other things cheaper. But in Nigeria, everything is expensive, including the Nigerian food, because of the present government that we have. So when I visited in June, my experience was based on whom I was visiting. So at the end of the day, it still has to do with resources. That's the thing about Nigeria. So I'm not sure if I should give you a rundown on the things I used in this food, but generally the list of ingredients would be chicken. I use stocked fish. I use dry fish. I don't know what they call that round fish. I use that. I use chicken, I use persil, I use because it's egusi, I usually like to season my chicken the same way I would season my chicken for my stew. So I don't really have to give you guys a rundown on all of that, but I use literally everything you use in making your meat delicious. And I spent my time chopping my leaves myself, and thankfully, because it's overseas or it's here, the leaves are not as dirty as when you're buying them like from Nigeria, from when you're getting the fresh leaves. So that's like an upside to it. So anyway, I don't talk, I don't really have much in this video, but I hope you guys enjoyed watching me cook my egusi soup. And if you have any question or anything to say, you can leave it in the comment section below. Bye.